They're here.
We are here. Wait, here it is. Is it coming? Is it going to happen? It's not going to happen for us. All right, there it is. It will happen now. I play it. I play the music. All right, welcome, everybody. Stages of Life Radio, definitely live. Oh, yeah.
There we go. I'll take my own pulse. There it is.
Yep, right. You're live, and the phones are ringing, so we're definitely live.
Here we are, fogging the mirror.
Wow, I can't see. Seriously, my glasses just fogged up. I just got a disapproving look from the...
from my wife?
Yeah, from the... wife. All right, 407-422-1212. Get on deck. 23680 is the text line. Again, 23680. But the doc always comes prepared to enlighten us about this, that, and the other thing. And today it's how to live well, look good, and leave a hot-looking corpse or something.
There you go.
Something like
what
it, right?
good is it if you can't leave a good-looking corpse?
Yeah, closed caskets suck.
No kidding. Well, just got to not stop riding the motorcycle, I guess.
Whoops.
In any event, the whole goal here, for the first part of the hour, is to talk about how do you look younger? How are you more youthful? How can you be more what you want through the use of vitamins, minerals, herbals, and other sorts of similar products? And you would have to think that this is utter absolute nonsense. And I'm going to try to convince you otherwise. There are different people. There are different people that age at different rates. And this is something that we've all got tremendous experience. You look really good for your age. So that's either an underhanded slap or you're truly wondering what the heck they did right. What's your secret? What's your secret to longevity? Well, no drinking of alcohol. They write it down. No smoking. They write it down. Sex only for procreation. They write it down and ask the following question. Why did you want to live so long?
Seriously?
Yeah. So what's it all about? Well, many people live, long and then look like heck. And a lot of folks will arrive at a good ripe age and look pretty decent, look really good. My dad passed away in his mid-90s, and he looked like, a young guy in his late 60s, just the way that it worked. So why? Do you ever wonder why? Ever think about what it is? What are we doing? What are you doing? What are they doing that can make this happen?
Yeah, I do,
so
actually.
Is it genetics?
Well, it could be.
It might be.
A little bit.
Okay? It's a possibility. We share 99 and a fraction % of our genes amongst all of us. Very few of us survive with major genetic differences. That's a fact. It's minor gene changes that give us the different appearances, different races, creeds, heights, genders, and whatnot. So is it genetic? It might be. Something called a SNP, okay, which is it's like a minor change within a gene. Is it environmental? And the answer is it could be. What is it about the environment that can make you age faster than anything else? And the answer is the sun. Mm-hmm. All the sun bunnies of the 50s, 60s, and 70s are now looking like wallets in South Florida, right? So we all know this.
It's true.
All right? Smoking is another beauty. When I was at Duke, we were taught a bunch of things, and most of them were actually pretty useful. One was that if you had a smoker, you didn't do back surgery on them. And you didn't do back surgery on them because they didn't heal well. And if they didn't heal well, your surgical statistics went to heck, and everybody was really concerned about having the best statistics. So if you were a smoker, you didn't do well surgically. Well, the joke is that if you smoke, your skin goes to hell in the handbasket. And then things that you might not necessarily be able to control, things like trauma. Is it dietary? Okay, well, that's a distinct possibility when you think about it. So if we have genetics, now what is it about a family unit? Okay, so you're going to be somewhat similar to your parents. You're going to be more similar to your siblings. But one thing you do within family clusters, and something you do within ethnic clusters, is you eat the same sorts of things. Don't believe it? Go to a sushi joint. Okay, it's largely Japanese. You want to go to a Thai restaurant? It's largely Thai. Wouldn't you know? The same thing is true Italian food. The foods that you eat have a tendency to influence the way that you age. And not all ethnic foods really are all that singular. So, you can go to an Italian restaurant, you think it's all going to be pasta. Well, that might be true in South Italy, but it's not true of Northern Italy.
Right.
You go to Mexico. There are at least a half a dozen different types of cuisine in Mexico alone. Not just Tex-Mex that you can go down to the fast food joint and get, but really very, very interesting, very healthy kinds of foods. My favorite happens to be from the Yucatan. So dietary changes can happen, influence the way your skin goes. So how in the world, does eating, how in the world does the environment influence the way the skin looks? Well, it starts off like this. The skin is the largest organ in your body. That's just a fact. It is the largest organ in the body and happens to be the one that you can see. So the hair, the skin, nails, it's all the same thing. So you're going to see, a healthy person having good skin, good nails, good hair. You see somebody come in with patchy hair and cruddy nails, you don't really think necessarily that they're the healthiest individuals. Part of a good physical examination involves looking at the nails. They tell you a lot. Looking at the hair, is it thick? Is it breakable? Is it gray? Premature gray tells you something about diet, believe it or not. It's premature aging. It takes a beating from just wear and tear from daily use. It's just what you can expect from it. Mm-hmm. But it's also the largest organ of excretion in your body. It's not your kidneys, it's not your liver, it's not even your lungs. It's actually the skin. So your diet can influence the way the skin looks. Somebody goes out there and eats a bunch of carrots, they might look a little yellow or orange. It's kind of interesting how these things go. You are what you eat. Now, what about inflammation and skin health? What about inflammation and joint health? Inflammation and aging, inflammation and diabetes, Alzheimer's, and cancer? It keeps going and going and going. So what in your diet is probably the most inflammatory thing you're going to do? What could you imagine this to be? And the answer is simple. It's on your table. It's in a little bowl, and it's called sugar, granular sugar. How much sugar do we eat per day? And it's just incredible how much. You look at a can of soda. Okay, that's kind of like a Russian roulette that's fully loaded. That revolver has all chambers loaded. Okay, that's what's 30 grams of sugar in one can of soda.
Yeah,
it's a lot of junk. And what does sugar do? It's highly, highly inflammatory. It's been known to screw things up like gout, which you wouldn't think would happen. But it's one of those kinds of things that not only fattens your bottom, but it shortens your life. So sugar is also, oddly enough, comedogenic. Now, what does that mean? It means it causes acne. So any teenager will talk to you about this. If you really want to make your acne worse, go ahead and suck down a soda or two and, in a bowl of ice cream.
Yeah, really, go high test.
Go at it. Go at
Dew.
it.
Yeah.
Okay, you will break out like crazy. So it really does show quickly. Your skin is trying to get rid of a lot of the toxins, a lot of the poisons, a lot of the excretory products in what you eat. And if you do it too quickly, it overwhelms it. Oils in your diet, they can go a couple different ways. You can end up with, oils that are very, very healthy for your skin. Those that are saturated fats are really bad for you. The unsaturated fats are the ones you're looking for. Mm-hmm. So the higher the melting point, generally, the healthier they are. And so it goes back to biblical days. Okay, it's kind of an interesting sort of thing. Oils. Oils were valuable because that's how you lit your house in the late Bronze Age and earlier. Oils gave you calories. There's kind of a very rich way to give people calories, but they're also very, very healthy for the skin. So the phrase, to be anointed in oil, meant that you were basically being rubbed down in oil. It's extraordinarily healthy for the skin if it happens to be the correct oil, which in this case is olive oil. Imagine that. It goes back 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years. It's something that's been around, about 4,000 years or longer. So in any event, so what does it do? It gives you proper skin turgor, which is basically the flexibility, the plumpness of it. It's necessary for skin turnover, flexibility. The omega-3s are wickedly important, and then things like high hyaluronic acid will make you look more youthful. So in the last minute or so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly go over vitamins and minerals. What are they all about? They're enzyme cofactors, vitamins and minerals both. They can be pharmacologic agents. They can be antioxidants. But they, too, will demonstrate in the skin. You can see health in the skin, health in the nails. So what's this all about? We're going to go over a few of these things before we start taking calls. But if you start paying attention to what you're doing with your diet, in particular, your skin is going to start looking more healthy. Right. With regards to intervention, we're going to take a look at that as well in the next segment or so.
Our Facebook page is going on crazy.
We don't want the Facebook page to go crazy.
No, they're having fun.
Oh,
they're contributing. They're like, cucumbers are good. One
depends on what you're doing
tablespoon
with
of
them.
sugar a day. Olive oil is good for your joints.
We'll get to all of those things, or we can get to all of those things.
Thank you for helping out, Marie. It's always good to have you along with us.
She's reminding me about cucumbers. Actually, my dad was allergic to cucumbers.
That's odd.
They made him
Just the
sick.
seed, right?
Just the seeds.
Yeah,
so
you
look at a vegetable, you look at a fruit, and you say, well, I can't handle this, that, or the other. It could be just a simple component to it.
Yeah. I have people that can eat the skins of a cucumber, but
most people can't because they contain lectins, which are toxic.
Exactly. So you never know. Anyway, I think we're just getting up to the break here. I gave us a little extra time, and you were on time this time.
Yeah, I did it.
But we do have some stuff on the text line too. They're asking about strontium and all kinds of
stuff. We'll talk about health. We'll talk about osteoporosis because why not? Because that was one of the things I was going to talk in the next segment anyway.
Look at that. So you guys are ahead of the game today.
No, actually, they're paid shills to make sure that we stay on target.
No, they're not. 23680 is the talk line. The text line. If you want us to just talk about your stuff instead of talking to the doc. Some people get shy.
Yeah, we'll talk trash. We can do that.
No. We're not going to trash talk. There's no trash talking on this show. All right, maybe just a little. All right, 407-422-1212. I know we got a couple calls already lined up. And again, Doc's got more to help us out with looking good. So we'll do that coming up. You are listening to Stages of Life Radio, and anything that you hear us talk about, if it's vitamins or nutraceuticals, you can find it at StagesOfLifeMedicalInstitute.com. That's kind of a landing page.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we'll do that. We'll be right back. Stay right there. It's News Radio WFLA Orlando. I pushed a button and things happened. All right, now...
You got your eyeglasses on, so you can see the buttons now. I think.
Is that her? What are you doing?
Sounds like margaritas.
I know.
It did sound like somebody were...
Is that margaritas?
No.
No.
One of my best friends.
We just heard a blender go.
Oh no! Blenders are nice. Okay, but one of my buddies, okay, right up here in Lake Mary has a marvelous margarita maker.
Ooh.
It's unlike anyone I've ever seen before.
I have seen a couple of double tank bad boys, and I was like, that's too much work.
Nothing like Mark's. Yeah. Oh no.
Okay, so
Mark,
I was gonna say
Mark went ahead and bought himself an Ace Hardware surplus paint shaker.
Ooh. Paint shaker.
Oh, yeah. Okay, splattered paint all over the place. The thing is probably older than I am, but it works better than I do. And so he bought these stainless steel paint cans and would throw ice and all the makings for the margaritas, put it in the paint shaker and turn it on, and it's hysterically loud, and you sit around and wait for the margaritas to get shaken as you imbibe the previous round. So he serves them in stainless steel paint cans, and you sip on the beverage through a fuel filter, a stainless steel fuel filter.
Up here,
yeah, it's for bad boys and bad boy wannabes.
Ow. All right, that's not you. I made a mistake. I can't do math, people. I can't do math. Now I got to go back and do more math. Wait, 21, and we'll just do that. Sorry, people. I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah, this is my first rodeo.
Yeah, I was listening to Larry the Cable Guy yesterday.
That
cracks me up.
He's a good guy.
He was talking about why forensics don't do too well. With folks from the country. Because the genetic material is not very variable, and the dental records don't exist.
Very, very rare dental records. Yeah, and the familial DNA is very familial. Mm-hmm. That's good stuff, Larry. Yeah, I haven't talked to him in a minute. Oh, gosh.
He's a local guy here.
Yes, Larry the Cable Guy, most definitely. Now, I got this guy on hold here real quick before we come back. Steve, 70, taken ALA about a month ago.
Alpha-lipoic acid.
Wants to know if the results he's getting are correct, but he doesn't tell me what the results are. So
or the indications, for that matter. Mm-hmm. Alpha-lipoic acid is an omega-3 fatty acid similar to EPA and DHA, which are the ones most people know about, in fish oil. Alpha-lipoic acid is present in much smaller amounts, but it is the most potent antioxidant that exists in nature.
Yes,
it is
potent.
marvelous stuff. We use it for diabetic polyneuropathy, or neuropathy as you would look at it.
Yeah, so he's on the phone. I don't know if he's going to...
We'll talk to him.
What kind of stuff he's got, but we can get back to that in just a
Yeah.
second. Here we go. Welcome back. Stages of Life Radio Live, 4 until 5 Eastern Time over here on the east coast of Florida. We're actually right in the middle of Florida.
So, what we're going to do is we're going to go...
Well, I know that.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were
Would
going
you worry?
straight to the phones.
No, the
I
phone
worry a
is-
lot.
What are you worried about? We're in the middle of... That's
Worry-
Dr. David Klein.
Worry not.
Dr. David Klein. It's all right, Klein.
Well,
Seriously, we're just going right back to the stuff right here.
because I've got to wrap it up.
I know. I remember this.
Look,
See,
we've done this at least 3 weeks now. There we go. So, getting back to finish up so we
Been about
can get
6
to the
weeks,
phones. Okay? Yeah. Okay. What else is interesting with regards to anti-aging and the skin? Because people are going to go, well, gee, okay, I'll buy your vitamins. Not interested. Okay. You need to look at the hormone levels as well. Now, why would this make any difference, and why do you think it might? So one of the things that we do when we're evaluating people for thyroid disease is you look at the nails, you look at the skin, you look at the hair, because it'll tell you what's going on with thyroid levels, whether it's adequate, inadequate. You can't look at the blood necessarily and get the whole picture. There's something called euthyroid-sick, which means that you have perfectly normal blood values, and yet there's something wrong. Not uncommon in medicine. Looking at blood values is not necessarily the answer. It gives you a piece of information, but if your doctor is doing nothing but looking at blood values to steer, then you're going to be heading in the wrong direction, at least most of the time. So gonadotropins, things like progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, androstenedione, DHEA, these sorts of hormones can also influence skin health. So women in particular recognize the fact that when their progesterone goes up, their breasts may enlarge a bit, they get firmer, because there's certain hormonal changes that will occur. You can use topical progesterone in the skin to kind of emulate what happens when you become pregnant, that glow of skin that you get from the progesterone levels going up. So you can use topical progesterone, and at stages we do. So these are the sorts of things hormonally that are interesting. Cortisol levels, if they're too high or too low, can be problematic. DHEA, it's called the youth hormone. It's very, very interesting. So you can also look at things, the effects of medications, prescription medications. Statins for cholesterol in particular can age you prematurely. And then there are some medications that some are legal and some are illicit, things called amphetamines that will age your skin like crazy. Nobody ages faster than a meth head. So, teeth fall out, the bone goes to heck in a handbasket. You can use your own Adderall. It's the same. So what do you do about it? So we fix these things by restoring balance, and it takes work. This is not something that's going to happen by taking a pill. If I could take a pill, I would fix it right away. Well, it's not so simple. As you get older, it gets harder and harder to restore. It gets harder and harder to maintain, and we get lazier and lazier as we get older. It takes investment. None of this stuff comes to somebody that's not willing to give something up for it. Whether it's good food or whether it's good medication or whether it's good entertainment, it comes at a price. It takes consistency. I've got people that come and go, well, I don't want to do this anymore. Can I take a break? And I'll ask them, how many times a minute do you breathe? And the answer is 12 to 16 times per minute. Why don't you take a break for 10 minutes, come back, and then breathe, just make up the difference? The answer is you can't. Your body looks for things on a moment-to-moment basis, and it just has to be that way, and it takes discipline. This is what happens. Those people that have those 4 approaches to life, they will finish the race first. They will finish the race without being short of breath, and they'll finish the race with something left over. It's not just true with nutrition and medicine. It's also true with your finances, and it's true with your emotions. In order for you to stay healthy, it takes work. So the metaphor that my wife came up with this morning, I was working out in the garden, something that I thoroughly enjoy. I learned a lot of lessons from the garden. And that's that early in the springtime, just about anything will grow. But as the conditions start to become more harsh, as they do in the summer, the weak things will tend to die off. It takes less to kill them. It's just the way these things go. We see drought, we see too much rain, too little rain, we see too much heat, too little heat. Things die. And then as we get into the fall and winter, it becomes even more difficult. Plants die off. The weak ones usually don't make it through the winter. Same thing with insects, and so are the seasons of our lives. So when you're a kid, you can get away with murder. You can get away with a lot of different things. Your body will be very forgiving. Yeah. And then just gradually things change. You get into the 20s, and then what is this? At FSU, they used to call what I have a dad bod.
Freshman
I didn't know what that
15.
meant. What's a dad bod? Well, it's that little pouch, pooch, whatever that you get from not being in shape. Now, you can never say to somebody, you have a mom bod. That's a fast way to lose your teeth.
Yeah, or more.
So you never say that. Guys, okay, so what? It's too much beer, too many hamburgers, too good a time. But you deteriorate with age. It gets harder and harder. And then as you get older, it doesn't take much of a slip to break something. So you start seeing issues with diabetes, you start seeing issues with cancers, you start seeing issues with all manners of chronic illnesses. So the good news is that's when you typically get a little smarter. It takes about the age of 30 before you really start to figure it out.
At least.
What was it, Abby Hoffman, who said, I don't trust anybody over the age of 30?
Under the age.
It was either Abby Hoffman or Jerry Rubin
Under
back
or
in
over?
the age. Over. Because you start thinking like an adult.
Oh, I see.
And so now we can go ahead and we can take some questions. I think we're ready.
I think we can. Let's see if we got a moment.
Will they allow
here.
us to?
Yeah, we can take a quick one. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, here he is. Who's on our line
Who's on
today?
first?
Who's on first? Looks like Steve. Steve's been taking ALA. Steve's been taking ALA for about a month. So what kind of results are you getting, Steve?
Well, really almost unbelievable. I think I'm contradicting what you just said about taking a pill and not working. I got it for inflammation because I had heard that it was good for arthritis, which at 70 I do have quite a bit of. I have all over sometimes arthritis. And it really has worked when I doubled the dosage.
Okay.
In other words, instead of one a day, I take two a day.
What size are the capsules?
I'm sorry?
How big are the capsules?
250.
That's okay, fine. Yeah, that's good dosage. Yeah, that's exactly
That's
why.
great. Great news, except here's what's weird. I've suffered with high blood pressure for 10 years.
Sure.
My blood pressure is normalized.
Yeah. Why is this a big surprise? It shouldn't be a surprise.
Because I've tried everything to normalize my blood pressure.
You haven't tried everything.
Obviously, this is working.
What you're dealing with is the underlying
Let's
issue.
put it this way. I was taking 225 Corrigs a day.
Yeah, calcium
I've
channel
gotten
blocker.
rid of one, and I'm about ready to get rid of the other because it seems like my blood pressure stays the same no matter what.
What's your blood pressure doing? How high is it?
Well,
Roughly.
13 hours after I took the last Corrig, it was 117/83.
Okay, it's pretty good.
That's good.
All right, what I'm going to suggest that you do, okay, is run with the winner, continue as you're doing, and then add a little something to it. Okay, and this is not just going to help you with your blood pressure, but it's going to do a couple, three other things, as we used to say in the South. A couple, three other things. Hibiscus tea. Hibiscus tea is very, very interesting. It will further control your blood pressure, but it's got a bunch of other medicinal benefits to it, and it's very, very inexpensive. You can make it yourself, or you can buy it in a box, but I like making my own.
There you go, hibiscus tea.
Hibiscus.
You heard it from Dr. David Klein. His line's now open, by the way, 407-422-1212, or you can text in. We got a bunch of text messages to deal with, too, at 23680. We're going to take a break, check the bottom of the hour news for you, and then we'll be right back with more Stages of Life Radio right here on News Radio WFLA Orlando. Posted it again.
There we go.
Yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Yeah, that's fascinating. The main problem with alpha-lipoic acid is it tends to be a little bit expensive as these sorts of things go. But it's not that expensive.
Okay.
So, yeah, but 500 milligrams a day is exactly the right dosage. Alpha-lipoic acid is also very helpful, again, for diabetic neuropathy, but the dosage is a little closer to 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams. So if you've got somebody with diabetic polyneuropathy, the dosage is about 3 to 4 times what that gentleman was using. And does it help? The answer is yes. It's very interesting how it works. I'm not exactly sure. It may be known, but not by me, as to how this works. But I do believe it's called an aldolase inhibitor. So aldose is where the neuropathy is actually most the damage comes from. It's a 3-carbon sugar.
All right, let's see. We got some text line stuff we're going to deal with here in a minute and a half or so. Oh, with the COVID.
With the COVID.
With the COVID.
With the COVID.
Then Dr. Klein, please address once again the rumor is going around about the COVID vaccines, specifically including baby pots, unsafe materials, etc.
Okay. Number one, okay, if you hold the vaccine in your hand, or if you get a look at it, okay, it's in a syringe, and it's very, very little. Yeah, look for little heads, all right? You're not going to see any. There are people out there that believe that there's some kind of metal in there because then they can stick a piece of steel up against their skin and it sticks. The glue that's on the steel probably had nothing to do with it. Yeah, there's no liquid metal at room temperature that you could inject or do anything with that would be magnetic. It doesn't work that way. So baby parts, no, they're too expensive to be giving it to the general population. They save those things for, experimentation purposes.
For other stuff.
Little radio frequency chips, they're not there either. No RF chips.
Yeah. Well, because the RF chip has to be in a stationary place. It can't
There's
be just
that.
floating around. And frankly, it's way too expensive.
Yeah.
And we don't care.
And nobody cares about you. Nobody cares enough about you to put a $20 chip on your purse. Okay, just to understand. So,
I know.
Get the vaccine.
We'll pop a little bit of that up on the radio because
We'll
that's a text. But
we'll get you.
Wow. All right, let's see if Linda's got anything. She's screening some calls. All right, stand by.
Baby parts.
I know.
Oh, there's fetal baby parts. No, they're not.
Welcome back to Stages of Life Radio. Brought to you by StagesOfLifeMedicalInstitute.com. Just a piano's throw off of I-4 and State Road 434. Dr. David Klein is the man. He likes to solve problems, not just throw drugs at symptoms.
Yeah. Fix the problem.
Fix it.
And the symptoms get better. No kidding.
That's true.
Whoa.
Someone's asking, we got a text line is on fire, as they say. You said garbanzo beans is bad.
Garbanzo beans in excess.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at these things called isoflavones, daidzein, genistein, mostly found in soy, soybeans, soy lecithin, just plain lecithin. These are problematic because they inhibit a bunch of really cool enzymes that keep you healthy. And if you block them, you get really, really sick.
Ow.
They're found in lower amounts in peanuts and garbanzo beans, pinto beans as well. So you can tolerate some of it. But if you let's just say eat bowls of that stuff on a regular basis, it's going to make you fat. It's going to inhibit the thyroid function. It's going to trash your ability to digest other proteins, pepsin, trypsin, chymotrypsin, 3 very important enzymes in your stomach. They're blocked. So it causes problems. So yes, garbanzo beans can be the difficulty.
What is the chickpea, the stuff?
Hummus.
Now, it's good and bad, right? 'Cause
Correct.
it's made with the right Mediterranean oil.
Correct. A little bit of hummus is okay, but there are people out there that eat it
We'll shovel it in
they'll
all day.
shovel it in.
And you'll shove it in with salty
Crackers
pretzels
just
and
bad
stuff.
news.
That's just bad.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can get white bean hummus, you can get carrot hummus, you can get all kinds of different hummus.
Right.
Garbanzo beans, I love them. They taste great. I
But-
don't eat them.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
All right, here we got a phone call here. Let's deal with Kim. Hey, Kim from Leesburg. How you doing today? Welcome on Stages of Life Radio. Hi, Kim.
She's there somewhere. Hey, there we go.
we didn't
All right.
lose her.
It's like a Christmas present here.
I changed nothing. I know. What's in there? Kim is 56. She had COVID 3 months ago
right.
and is experiencing some hair loss for the second time.
Not a shock. Okay, so Kim, speak to us. Tell us what happened to you.
Tell us the story.
Tell us the story.
Kim.
She's shy.
She is shy.
Hi, I'm so sorry.
Don't apologize. Just tell us what's going on for real. She's listening. Yeah, I can hear you. Just don't listen to the radio. Listen to the phone, darling. You see?
Yeah.
She's
Yeah, there's a delay in case I say bad
In
things.
case you didn't know. Yeah, she's still listening to the radio. I'm going to let her go.
Yeah,
'Cause she hasn't really figured out this whole thing.
She's trying to work too many dials at once.
All right, so do symptoms from COVID.
Let's talk about the text from a few minutes ago. So somebody did something which
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to address because it's still a problem. And in fact, it's going to become a bigger problem in the fall. In my opinion, let's see,
Once
prediction
it
would
cools
be
down a time?
it's not going to cool down at all. I mean, the temperature's going to cool down, but I think we haven't seen the last of this COVID monster.
Oh, no, it's a wave.
It's
been
this.
waving.
It's just the way these things go. Now, there's a variant in India which is apparently causing and wrecking all manners of havoc. We're focusing on the UK variant because
Right.
we're seeing it here in Florida.
I'm not worrying about the Spain
Not
or
worrying,
the India variant.
not worrying about the India one, which actually has a much higher mortality attached to it. So it's the same virus with a twist. Okay, and it's not a good twist. So the vaccines are going to become very, very important. They've been important. That's the only way we're going to be able to open the country up, and we are. Now, wouldn't you know it? Europe is not open yet, are they?
No.
They're not
really.
open. Italy's not open. Spain's not open. Germany's not open. They're about ready to close Australia again.
Yeah.
Not that that's European, although they
No.
do appear to be more European than Asian most of the time.
Okay.
So what is it that this is all about? It's just that these things bounce around. So here we are, isolated with an ocean on either side of us. In Florida here, we have another body of water called the Gulf of Mexico, and it's just kind of sitting there keeping us isolated, seemingly. Doesn't take very long for these viruses to bounce around. Now, is COVID a deadly virus? And the answer is yes. I don't care if you have a ventilator or not. People died on the ventilators in droves. And that's what's going to happen again if we're not
Other
very,
people
very
died
aware.
by themselves without realizing what was going on.
Dying alone. It's worse. Okay, if you, at least if you have a ventilator to keep you company, that the noise is somewhat, in any event, I spent way too much time in the intensive care units.
So anyway, what you're saying is get the damn
vaccine.
Okay, all right.
Now, what is it? These weird social media things that bounce around.
Okay, it's
baby
not made of
parts.
aborted baby parts. There's no metal in it. Come on, people.
There's no baby parts, no RF chips. Nobody cares enough
None
about
of
you
them are
to
better
do any
than
of
the
this.
other either.
Yeah, more so is it make the vaccines much more expensive. And why would they do that? That makes no sense at all.
Come on now.
Yeah.
So go get the vaccine. Thanks.
Rumor mill being what it is, just get it done before we end up seeing the reoccurrence that's going to happen in the fall.
We got Jerry from Merritt Island. He's called before, I think, about his 97-year-old mother. They keep getting varying opinions on her blood pressure and what it should be.
At least it's not his 70-year-old date, 97.
Yeah, that would, whatever. I know, he's making jokes about you.
Jerry, how are you doing? I haven't heard from you in a while.
Doing great. Thank you, sir. I've got two questions. I'll cut it short on the history of her. She went 50 years without going to a doctor, and then when she got Medicare, they made her start going once a year. Anyway, she's a great farm girl. She's amazing. I love her. But anyway, she had 2 TIAs over Christmas time frame, and that's a whole different story, too, of why. But I've been monitoring her blood pressure. And I've talked to multiple doctors, and the thing is, I'm trying to figure out, the first doctor was a practitioner. She gave her 35 milligrams of linsinopro, I think it was.
It'd be 20. It'd be 20. Yeah, it wouldn't be 35, but go on.
Well, it was 20, and then she went in, and she was dizzy, so she gave her 35. And then I went to my doctor, and she said, well, give her 10 milligrams. So what I've been doing is, when it's a little high, I'll give her 5 milligrams, and the doctors, different ones say when it's over 110, give her 5 milligrams. When it's lower, don't give her anything. She feels the best when she's around 35 or 145, over say 80, or so. And I'm trying to figure out how long I can go without giving her any blood pressure medicine if she's doing well. So I'm kind of worried about that. Some say you should give it to her quite often, and then if
all right,
Okay,
Jerry.
well, Jerry, what we're going to do here, okay, so, the story with lisinopril and similar medications, they're best taken at night. Okay, so if you're chasing a blood pressure with it, then give it in the evening hours. The second thing is there might be a reason why she feels best when her blood pressure is 130 to 140 systolic. That's not high enough to give somebody a stroke, by the way. But, the blood pressure has to be high enough to be able to pump blood from the heart to the top of the brain. If the pressure is too low and it doesn't make it past these narrowed blood vessels within the brain, you can get dizzy, and worse can happen. So there's a very fine line you have to walk. And so it's not a matter of keeping it normal, because normal may not be the same normal for her as it is for everybody else. So if she's getting dizzy standing up, with the low blood pressure, have her lie down, elevate her feet, and that's all she's going to need to do, and she's going to start feeling better immediately. But you're going to be best able to control her blood pressure by changing the dosage every several days very gradually. So if she takes 5 milligrams at bedtime, so you do it for 7-10 days, her blood pressure is now averaging between 110 and 120, and you want it a little bit higher, lower it to 2.5 milligrams. See what happens. If it's too high, go from 5 to 7.5 milligrams, but be consistent with it. The body likes consistency. Now, what is it that's going to raise her blood pressure acutely? And the answer is typically salt. So you have to be careful with mom and salt intake. Now, as people get older, their taste buds go to hell in a handbasket. So there's a great tendency to over salt things and add too much sugar, both of which are problematic for mom. So, the food may start tasting bland to her. So what can you use that's not as rich in salt or sugar? You use things that are more peppery in nature, and she can get the flavor that way. It does work. One of the last flavors that goes away is that of banana, believe it or not. Okay, banana, of all things. So they make great desserts and whatnot for folks with age on them because you can start tasting those in ways that you can't taste other foods. So the taste buds, the olfactory lobe, the brain itself ages. And as it ages, it becomes less, in many ways, less useful. So give that a try before you make any other changes with it, but be very gradual, be very consistent, and don't make changes on a daily basis or hourly basis. It will not work, especially with medications like lisinopril.
All right, we got 1 minute here. Let's see. What do you take with strontium to strengthen bones, and what amount?
Okay, great question. Anti-aging. Your bones age as well. Now, why is it that kids eat like garbage and yet they grow? Their bones are dense. You can bounce them off the floor and they don't break.
Because they're meant to.
You get a little older, you fall down, you break your hip, you break your shoulder, you break your neck. And the answer is because you're not absorbing certain things from your gut. That certain thing is going to be called strontium, which is a mineral. We're supposed to get it in our water supply. So you take strontium citrate in this country. It's cheap in Europe. It's over $100 a month. Very expensive in Europe. There they have something called strontium renylate, and it's wickedly expensive. Here, strontium citrate works perfectly. 200 milligrams 3 times a day if you're in your 70s. Older than that, you may have to take a 4th tablet because your gut doesn't absorb. Second thing, vitamin K2. Dosage, 150 to 200 micrograms per day. Number 3, vitamin D3, 5,000 IUs. And the last piece of the puzzle is estradiol, which is a prescription item. So we have to keep our estrogen levels at least over 15 picograms per deciliter, or you will get osteopenia, then osteoporosis.
I see. All right. Well, hey, we're going to take a quick break.
That was simple.
Yes, we do. And it was a simple question. Thank you. We do have a question carrying over from last week. This person says, Botox for migraines, a doctor, patient covered 100%.
Go for it.
Okay. That's what I said. If it works, do it.
No, it works fine.
Go ahead. Yeah. I was whatever.
Yeah, you know what's also interesting about that? Okay, is that, these little, we're going to do Botox for you for $10 a unit. You know where that stuff comes from? Okay, it's from when people do these migraine headaches, quote unquote, and they'll use 600 units, and hopefully people don't stop breathing. That which is left over is used in these little Botox evenings.
Oh, no, not the
So it's
Botox.
leftover Botox parts.
Oh, no.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, that's exactly what happens.
Oh, no, Marie. Really? She says, Botox is a treatment for migraines.
Yes, it is. It's
First she asked me, and I
FDA approved it. I just don't think it works.
I know. She asked. She said, Doctor, does Botox really help with migraines? And I wrote, nope.
I don't think so.
No, you said that. That's
Yeah.
why I wrote no.
Yeah.
And then she wrote, Botox is a treatment for migraines. I know someone that has been doing it for 15 years. Doctor bills her insurance, and it's paid 100%.
Yeah, and if they didn't, that would be costing them about $1,000 per treatment every 90 days.
Yeah,
Guess what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey, are massages covered for people who have bad backs?
Sometimes. It depends on your insurance. And depends on how frequently they go and how long the massages are. So you can, in fact, use massage for back pain. You better find out from your massage therapist whether it's covered or not. And then depending upon where you go, I
Mm.
mean, if you're going to a medical massage clinic, that's one thing. But some of these,
Here's the one they
the
actually
one that
cover
the
it.
one they did cover ours. The ones that we go to down the street at the little
Do they?
franchise. I don't know that they do because they
I
don't.
know some lady was there, and she's like, I filled all the paperwork online, burp, burp, burp. And of course, the website's a piece of poop.
Yeah.
So
Well, they can't even schedule well
I
on
know,
the website.
I know. They still have us backed up. I'm like, okay, so when you go, you're me, and I'm you.
Yeah,
Just check
yeah,
in
so,
that
So
way.
these franchise joints for the massage thing,
Oh,
they'll
gosh.
do a decent. If you're lucky, they'll do a good job
You're
on the
lucky.
massage.
You're lucky.
It's a decent value. It's not a bargain by any stretch.
No.
But there's a big difference between going to a medical massage
Oh,
therapist that
gosh, yeah.
does the insurance filings for you, because the massage therapist has to have, there's an identifier that we all have that is necessary called a UPIN to do the submissions. If you don't do that, you can't really submit it.
I really can't do math today. We're about to come back. We'll just listen to a little bit of music here. That'll be fun. Right?
I could always use a little share.
Cher is great, yeah. Gypsies, tramps, and sleaze.
Back in the day, she could have done that dance.
I cannot do math. It's all right. Welcome back to Stages of Life Medical Institute's radio show called Stages of Life Radio. I am Melissa Fox, and Dr. David Klein is your real host. I'm just your guide to keep him on track. That's really all.
Keep me from saying bad things.
Keep you from saying things that you shouldn't. Rick from Altamonte Springs is on the line. Got some questions about his esophagus and the blood pressure meds.
Fair enough.
Hey, Rick. How you doing?
All right, I got a couple of related questions. I take a Tenolol for.
We're gonna try that again, Rick.
I'm just trying to hear him.
Yeah, you're gonna
Rick.
either you have to speak up a little louder or.
Speak up, Rick.
Can you hear me? Can you hear?
Now we can. Good for you. Speak into the telephone.
Can you hear me now?
Now we're good.
Yes,
What you got, Rick?
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah, please.
Oh, all right. I can hear you. But I take Tenolol for blood pressure. Number one
Yeah.
part of the question, and I've heard it can weaken the LES muscle in the esophagus.
All right.
Number two, I took 2 big bites a few days ago on a sandwich, and it did something to the esophagus. Now sometimes I feel the food go down ever since I did that.
Acid
Yeah.
reflux.
Okay. Now, what can happen? All right. So atenolol isn't really that tough on the LES. Lower esophageal sphincter is what that stands for. What's far worse on the LES when you're taking PPIs and H2 blockers, things like Zantac, Pepcid, Tagamet, and when you take away the stomach acid, the LES weakens. Then you end up spilling more acid. You take more of the PPIs, and pretty soon your esophagus is crippled. What you may have done with your sandwich. Now, may I ask you what was in that sandwich? Kind of important.
Oh, I don't know, avocado, turkey breast, with just 2 big bites. I have a history a while back of having reflux, but then I took Prilosec, and it seemed to have.
Oh yeah, it'll make you feel better, like
High
scratching.
enzyme, too.
Yeah, it's like scratching poison ivy.
High enzyme.
So yeah, all right. So what will happen if you're taking too large a bite and it goes down the esophagus is you can in fact do a little tear of the esophagus. A little tear will just be painful. It'll feel as though you have some pressure. You may think, oh gee, this feels a little bit like a heart attack, hence the heartburn. But okay, a big tear of the esophagus can rip it into the pleural cavities and cause a big problem called Boerhaave syndrome. Okay, now do you likely have that? The answer is no. You sound too good and you're breathing. So what will happen is that little bit of esophagitis that you're getting from the mechanical tear will take about 3 to 4 days, 5 days to straighten itself out. If you continue to take the Pepcid, it will give you symptomatic relief, but the best medication you can take for this is something called sucralfate or Carafate. Carafate was the brand. Nobody ever uses the brand anymore. But sucralfate, the way that you do this to get the best benefit from it is to take the tablet, which is usually 1,000 milligrams. It's about the size of your little finger. You stick it between your molars and crunch down. It has no taste to it whatsoever. It's like chalk. And then you chase it with a little bit of water. The slurry goes down, coats the esophagus, and you'll see relief in about 15 or 20 seconds. How long will it last? It usually lasts until the next dose. So I typically give people 90 to 120 of these tablets to take them as frequently as they want to. And what it will do is it gives them enough time to settle it down. If you had yourself a really good tear, like I did one time with a tostado shell, okay, I was swallowing tostado shells. I was in San Antonio really enjoying the food and ate these things too fast, ripped into the esophagus, And wouldn't you know it, I ended up in the emergency room. And so the way you would deal with that is to use viscous lidocaine, which is a local anesthetic, and oddly enough, 1 or 2 tablets of nitroglycerin, which will then loosen up the esophagus and allow the food to pass. But if you just leave it alone, it'll get better. But chew your food. Your mama must have told you that.
Yeah,
you got
come
to
on,
chew
Rick.
your food.
Chew. Small bites.
Yeah, you have lots of teeth.
This
Use
show
them.
actually, you know what? I say this honestly, but we actually approve mastication.
Yes, yeah, in public.
Yeah, anytime, please, with your mouth closed, of course.
Yeah, public mastication is much better
Careful.
than yes. We're going to get into Mr. Tubin with
Yeah, I was
CNN.
going to say, we're not tubing
Can't
here.
do that.
Here's off the text line. 60-year-old woman, vaginal atrophy, was a patient of yours 3 years ago.
Cool.
Loved bioidentical hormones from you. Had 3 C-sections. Thinking of laser Juliet therapy. Will bioidentical hormones alleviate this problem? I was hoping to be a patient again of yours soon.
Yeah, actually, there are a couple things you can do. The BHRT, or bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, will help with the vaginal mucosa. Terribly important kind of a thing. But if you're looking at the, let's just say either urinary incontinence or fecal incontinence, the procedure that you're talking about can be helpful. We do one called Votiva, which is using radiofrequency, and it tightens up the muscles and helps tremendously with the urinary incontinence and the fecal incontinence. But you always start with the canvas. So if you're going to paint this painting, you start with the canvas. Actually, you start with a canvas stretcher.
I was going to say it should be a tight canvas.
You have to put it across the stretcher first. I mean, I used to do that. I came from a family of artists. So I learned how to stretch a canvas when I was about 5. So you always start with the basics. You prepare the canvas, you stretch the canvas, you lay down your first layer of white or whatever the sealant is going to be before you start planning things out. It is true, the same thing with surgery, the same thing is true with cosmesis. So if you're going to go in and get cosmetic surgery, you need to make sure that the skin is prepared. That's dietary and nutritional. If you're going in for orthopedic surgery of an elective nature, you'd had best harden that bone. Otherwise, the screws, bolts, and plates, the prostheses, will not hold particularly well. You need to make sure that your immune system is tuned up, or you're going to catch something bad from the people in the hospital. That's just the way that it's going to go. And when it's coming to this sort of a thing, you really have to make sure that your hormones are balanced before you do anything else. And it's one of those necessary evils. Once you get past the age of about 40 as a female, things start to go to hell in a handbasket. Coincidentally, as a male at about the age of 40, things go to hell in a handbasket. So we're all in this together. We just end up with different colored lifesavers.
I guess, but the handbaskets of the ladies get a little bigger, and so do the men's. Frankly. I mean, there are things,
it's a problem.
Yeah, there are things you can do about that. All right, so let's just recap this. We got a couple minutes left here. You started out talking about how to look and feel great by using nutraceuticals and herbals and nice stuff.
Yeah, what you're looking for is getting back to the basics. And as you get older, your body becomes less and less able to absorb nutrients. That simple, that easy. So what you needed as a kid didn't go down because you got older. It actually multiplied upward. This is not something I was taught in medical school, but it happens to be the way life is. So at best, let's say you're 20 years old and you've got a tablet of copper, a tablet of iron, or a tablet of potassium, whatever the metal happens to be. Your body might only absorb 1%.
Oh.
That's it. Oh. Now you hit the age of 35.
Okay.
It absorbs half of that. You hit the age of 50. It absorbs half again. You hit the age of 70. It's half again. So you actually end up taking 4 to 10 times as much of the RDA in order to get the right amount that you need.
Wow.
So you need a guide for this. Now, why do you need a guide? Because for most things, it doesn't make a lot of difference if you overdo it. Magnesium is a good example of this. Marvelous, wide therapeutic index. Iron, not so much. Too much, you become constipated and sick. Copper, really sick. Selenium, very sick. Vanadium, chromium, all of these things have an upside and all of them have a downside. And you need to know what the rate, route, and amount is, and it's different for different disease states and ages.
Where do we find information on the products that we've talked about today?
Yeah, you can go to StagesOfLifeVitamins.com, look up the disease state or look up the chemical that you're looking for, and it will pop up products. If you cursor down through the product, you'll see our audio files. Click on them and listen, and you'll pick it all up quickly.
We'll do it again next Sunday, 4 o'clock.
Ma'am.
Thank you all for participating on social media as well as on the phones and the text lines. See ya. Say bye.
Adios.
You've been listening to Stages of Life Radio with Dr. David Klein. Check out Stages of Life Medical